The main change that we made is we've got a single ratings list. Previously, we had this organisations. These are all the different organisations that use Tornelo. Previously, each of them would be a different ratings list, so completely separate. If you play in the England and you play in the European Chess Union, you play in Kids Unlimited, you would have 3 different ratings. So we've now just got one single ratings list. So it doesn't matter where you play. If you're on Tornelo, it's just one rating. Okay, so that's probably the first thing. The second thing that you might notice is previously you would just click run an event and you would be able to create your own events kind of on the fly. That isn't possible now. In order to create an event, you must be the owner of an organization. And so if you want to be able to create events as a Kids Unlimited event, we have to give you a role and allocate you as an arbiter. So we've got some people who are arbiters. So we can definitely do that. If you're wanting to create events of your own on the fly and have them as Kids Unlimited events, just let me know, and then I'll add you as well, it's called an organizer, somebody who organizes events, and then you'll be able to create events for Kids Unlimited. So it's easy for me to do, but just let me know if you want to do that. Okay. Okay, Tornelo's probably going to break again because Toby broke something and he's going to undo it. Okay, so yeah, that will be, clicking run an event will ask you to start your own organization, which you might get a bit confused with and say, well, hang on a second, I don't really want an organization of my own. I'm just running some Kids Unlimited events. Just let me know and I will add you, because it's probably better. In the not too distant future, the organizations will be behind a paywall anyway. And so you won't be able to do it without putting in a credit card. So obviously you don't want to do that just to run some class tournaments. Just let me know, I can add that for you. All right, this is the Kids Unlimited organization page, which shows us all of our upcoming events and recent results. So obviously we're running a chess at 4 p.m. every single day during the school holidays. Sorry, it was chess at noon during the school holidays and chess at 4 p.m. during the school term time. So we are trying to run one chess tournament pretty much every single day. And you can see the numbers. We're getting sort of 20 or 30 players. The chess at noon, we're getting up to 100 because those were free events, whereas the chess at 4 p.m, the kids are paying an entry fee to get involved in those. We've got, you can see in our upcoming events, a bunch of inter-school competitions coming up starting at the end of July, but otherwise just the sort of chess at 4 p.m. every single day during the week, and then chess at noon is a free one on Saturday. So if you've got any students who are interested in getting into tournaments, the chess at noon is the one to recommend them to as a starting point. It's free, it's every Saturday at noon. We get about 100 kids coming. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, most of the school classes tournaments that you are going to be accessing, you won't have to set up or do anything. You'll just click through from KU Zone. There'll be a tournament slug there, a link to Tornelo. You'll just click on that and that'll push you through into an event. I'm going to set up an event here now so that you can see how that works, but you won't have to actually do any of that setup. That'll automatically be there. So this is a school class tournament. So we've got that set up. Start to finish times, all the rest of it. Okay, so if I guess it's important to understand what this setting page is all about, just in case something's going wrong and you're like, why isn't it working? So playing games online, we have to tick that box to allow the games to be played online. So that sort of switches on the live game server. If that box is unticked, there will be no tournament lobby. The players won't be able to play games online. So gotta make sure you tick that box. There are 3 different settings for your tournament: public, community, and private. All of our tournaments will be community tournaments or private tournaments. Actually, there'll be a mix. We'll have all sorts of different ones, but generally community is probably the best level to be using. That allows people who are signed into Tornelo to access it, but it doesn't allow anybody else to view it. If it's a private tournament, the only way you can find that is with a direct link. So if it was a and private tournaments can't be submitted for ratings. So if it's a class at a school, there's a good chance that it'll be if it's a curriculum program for the whole school, there's a good chance it'll be private. But if it's just a regular class at school, it'll be community. Community events can't be seen on Google, so parents, can be sure that their kids aren't going to have their names publicly available. So, yeah, community, and those events can be rated. Your Zoom link goes in the conference integration link, and there are two ways that you can have access to the Zoom link. There's the default Zoom link, which goes in there, and then also in each division of your tournament, you could have a Zoom link as well. So if you've got multiple divisions, you can have a different Zoom link for each division. Then this, the Zoom links for the division are the ones that will show to the players in that division. So you can essentially, you can kind of have private Zoom links if you wanted to by having no default conference integration link. So if you're not a player in the tournament, you come to the page, you can't see it, If you are a player in the tournament, then you get directed to one of the specific Zoom links for the division that you're entered into. So yeah, that's an option. Game time and increment, we've talked about that. So we're tending to use about 6 minutes plus 3 seconds a move, but obviously you could go for 15 minutes plus 3 seconds a move. Go to 10 minutes plus 4 seconds a move, whatever you wanted to. So that's time per game and extra time after every move. All games in the tournament use that, but you can update that anytime you want during the event. So if you decide that you want to, halfway through a tournament, change the time controls, you can just go edit the tournament and update. Okay, so often you'll have different divisions, like if it's a Glendale class, you've got the beginners and the intermediate or the advanced, and you can have a different Zoom link for each coach, because that's your Zoom meeting, and the kids will be directed into those appropriately. Inter-school competitions using teams, class tournaments are not, and then we can either accept entries online or not, depending on what the type of tournament is. If that's ticked, then you can also let people in after the tournament started. So if you're trying to allow people to come into a tournament, the tournament's kind of already in progress, and like, oh, they can't enter, maybe just check that box to allow late entries, and see if you can make sure that's ticked, and then people will be able to enter even after the tournament started. Okay, you might have just no payments. For class tournaments would be the most likely scenario, because kids are paying through KU Zone if they're playing for that. They're not actually paying within Tornelo. All right, so that's all of the sort of event settings. If you've got any questions on any of those, let me know.
Can we have different time control in different divisions?
Not yet, not yet. So at the moment, the time control is a tournament wide, but I agree. I'd like to have different divisions having different time controls. But yeah, I think we'll get to that.
It's the same question which Daniel asked. I think it's about Glendale School. When I found out that the tournament ran with 6+0, and in one of the game, once I had like half of the set extra material, and then he dropped time, and I didn't like it, so I deleted the round and I changed the time control back to 12+3. But for example, there are 3 classes in the same school.
Yeah, it changes
for example, if Daniel doesn't like it and he will change it back, and then what's going on?
You can have a fight. You can have a fight over it. So yeah, I mean, when the game is created, when you do the pairings, it creates the time control. So I mean, you can have that fight where you can edit the time control, save it, do the pairings, then they're done with that time control and somebody else can come in and do it later on. I would say for school classes, it's better to have longer time controls, like a 12+3 or 15-0 or something. If the kids finish quicker, they finish quicker, and then you'll have to do something for those kids at that time. But yeah, better to have longer time controls. I think 6 minutes for a school class is probably too short because you're giving them half an hour for the game. And
so I change it back to 12+3
I
because
think 12.
I didn't like that issue with half of the set extra pieces and lost by time.
Yeah, I agree. I think for school classes, it's important for like tournaments. If you've got 100 players, that means that 50 of them after 6 minutes are going to be bored, and then they're going to have to find something to do until everybody else has finished their games. But in a class tournament, that's not the case. In a class tournament, if the games are going for half an hour and somebody finishes after 6 minutes, you're there to talk to them. You have a small group, like 5, 6, 10 kids in the class. It's not like there's 100 kids. So we need to keep things moving so that they can get onto their next game, get onto the next game, get onto the next game in tournaments. But in school classes, we don't need to do that. After the game finishes, you can analyze the game. You can give them a second game. You can talk to them. There's plenty of things to do. So I think in the school classes, better to have longer time controls. And a time control that if they played the full amount of time for the full game, that it would take them to the end of the lesson.
David, not to beat a dead horse, but can you default class to 12+3 and default like tournament to 6 minutes? Can you do that? So when you're creating the class tournament, you just already have it defaulted to 12+3?
Yeah, when we create, because I think we're creating all the class tournaments. Yeah, I can actually, I think there's probably some things that when KU Zone creates the class, and I think KU Zone doesn't, it doesn't actually even consider time control. So okay. I probably just have to update it so that we've got a time control actually in there, because yeah, this is only a recent change. We haven't actually updated KU Zone to create the tournaments properly.
I didn't even realize you could edit the time. So now that I know that, I'll check it. But yeah, if it can be set up so it's 12+3 in school class tournaments, that'd be good.
We'll do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I did not notice that it's like started with a 6 minutes with 0, and then I had to delete it.
Yep.
I would be better, yeah. Very
good
idea.
We'll definitely make sure the defaults. I've got to do some updates on defaults, so we'll do that. All right. So what you're seeing now is the sort of public entry page. So if it was a tournament that people could enter in the public, this is what they would see. What you will see is the pairings program. So you click the blue button, use the pairings program, and now you've got the pairings program here. So the way that you get access to the pairings program, when you click through from KU Zone to Tornelo, what it does is it adds you as an arbiter. So there's a role on a tournament. That's called a tournament manager, or we call it an arbiter. So when you click that, it will add you in that list of arbiters. So again, if there's something going on, you're like, there is no blue button saying use pairing program. One of the things that could be wrong is that you're not listed as an arbiter. Okay. So that's something to look out for. All right. In the pairings program, we have different divisions. Generally, if it's a school class, it's one division for each coach, and there'll be a list of player names that have been imported from Tornelo. So I'll just put some of my kids into this tournament. Okay, so let's just put a bunch of my kids into the tournament, and then we'll show you how the tournament can run. Cool.
Looks like a family tournament.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We're going to have a lot of fighting. Have a lot of fighting going on. Actually, I can show you from the public point of view. If the player comes through, they can enter multiple people at the same time. So, like, in my account, obviously I have, you know, not many players. I can go through and enter people into the tournament as a, like, that's if I was registering publicly, that's how it would work. You won't be doing that, because that would mean that you're like, if you enter through this process, then this is the process where you kind of claim that you are that person, you own that person, you're financially responsible for them. So if they enter other tournaments, you control their privacy. So you're an arbiter. You should be using the pairings program. But yeah, just to show you, so you can see how a parent could do that. They can enter the tournament like that. So we have different divisions. If you want to move players between divisions, you click on their name, move, and then choose the new division that they're in. So that can move people. If we wanted everybody, like if there's not enough people, we'll just move everybody across to the beginners division and just run it as one tournament. Okay, so you can move people between divisions before the tournament starts. Very easy, very easy. At the start of the tournament, you can also do a roll call. Okay, so you can mark the boxes to say that they're present, and you can start the tournament. Or if you're doing this and giving the players themselves some responsibility, then we can get the players to mark their own role. So when a tournament's an online tournament, you'll have this button here which says Open Lobby. So tournament lobby is like the live view. So instead of seeing this page where you can kind of, oh, let's go back. It's not liking us. So there's like the tournament page where you see the list of entries. You can click the Enter Now button. That's the kind of the public, what you're seeing is like the public entry page. But once the tournament's, if the tournament's an online tournament, then you probably don't want this public page. You want a tournament lobby where the players can actually interact. So think about it in the same way that you would think about a physical chess tournament. You don't want to be opening the lobby today if the tournament's running next week on Friday, right? Because now the tournament room's open, people can walk in, they look around, they say, oh, nobody's here, then they're going to leave, all right? So you wouldn't open the tournament doors a week before. Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours before, you're going to come in, you're going to open the doors, you're going to let people walk into the room, you're going to set up some chessboards, whatever you like to do. You know, if you're opening the tournament doors 5 minutes before the tournament starts, you're going to have a queue of people outside the front, most of them probably panicking. Oh my God, how come the doors aren't open? Maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe the tournament's cancelled. Maybe the organizer's not going to be here, right? So it's about finding that appropriate window for when the tournament lobby should be open before a tournament starts. So like if it's an inter-school competition, RJ Shield, something, you know, chess at noon, you know, don't go and open the tournament lobby, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning for a tournament that's starting at noon. It's too soon. But also don't leave it until, you know, 11:45 to open a tournament that's starting at noon, because that's equally probably too late. So generally, you know, half an hour before is a good kind of rule of thumb, and then we'll click the Open Lobby button. So once you've opened the tournament lobby, I think Toby's now going to fix the he's going to fix the problem that we had. So this is going to be fun. So once the tournament lobby is open, you're in the pairings program, and I'm going to now split my screen and show you two different views. So there's the tournament lobby view, and then let's just put that on half the page. Okay. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the arbiter's view. This is the pairings program. Okay, this is the pairings program. On the right-hand side, we have the tournament lobby. Now, even as an arbiter, at the moment, you should probably keep both tabs open. So you can just have them in two tabs. You don't have to split the screen like this. You could just have them in two tabs in your browser. You should probably have both open, because there's some different things that happen on each page. Basically, the tournament lobby is the live page, and the pairings program is static. So if you want something to change on the pairings program, you either have to click it yourself, or you have to refresh the page. So you can see when I tick something on the pairings program, it automatically updates in the lobby. So it's a one direction thing. The tournament lobby is new technology. The pairings program's old technology. Eventually, everything will end up in the tournament lobby, but it's work in progress. Okay. So what you'll ask your players to do when the players come to the tournament lobby, we can see what they see by joining as a player, right? So when the player comes to the page, this is what they'll see. They'll see a message saying the event is starting soon. Tick the box to let the arbiter know that you're here, right? And we do this firstly to let the players themselves sign in so that you know that they're there. Secondly, also to give the kids some practice at ticking the box so that they know this is the spot to look in, and they're kind of trained to look in this spot because that's where the next games are going to come from. All right, so the kids will have their link to Tornelo from KU Zone. They can get here, they can open the Zoom room, you can send them the link to the tournament. They just need to be on this tournament lobby page. You just send them that URL. That's all they need to do. Everything from there is set up. So they tick the box, and you'll see their box is ticked, and there'll also be a little green icon next to their name that shows that they're kind of signed in, they're active in the tournament lobby, and all of these little dots next to the person's name tells you their status. You know, green for active, yellow for inactive, and grey is disconnected. And it'll also show you a time period. So if they haven't been active in the lobby, if they haven't actually done anything or clicked anything in the lobby for 10 minutes, it'll show you they haven't done anything for 10 minutes. And you might say, well, where are they? Okay, so they're maybe not there. Some of the common problems is that they don't get this message. They're like, oh, I don't see a message. It tells me, I'm not signed in, or you're spectating the event. So problem number one for the players is to be signed in. So if they're not signed in, they're not going to see that event. Actually, in a class tournament, if we go as a class tournament, they won't even get to see anything, because in a class tournament, if it's a private or a community tournament, they just won't be able to see anything. They'll be asked to sign in. So that's probably another good reason why you should have a community tournament as opposed to a public tournament, because it forces people to sign in. Anyway, if they've got a message saying they're spectating the event, it may mean that they're signed in with a different account to the one that they've created. So let's say, for example, Oliver here, you can see his email address. He's called over at chesskids.com.au. If he's signed in with a different email address, then it won't let him play, because the system doesn't know that Oliver and Oliver are the same person. So as an arbiter, let's just switch back, switch active player, join as an arbiter. So as an arbiter, what you can do is you can click on any person's name and you can say make a token. So what a token is, it's like a one-time pin. So you're in the Zoom meeting, so Ari's talking to you and he's saying, oh, I'm signed in, it says I'm spectating this event, and it gives me, if you're spectating the event, it gives you two options. Let's just do that. I'll show you exactly what it will say. So we'll just sign in as what's my password? No, I don't know my password. There you go. That's bloody useless. Sorry about that. Let me just reset my password. Get in there. Okay. So we've got the player. They're coming to the tournament lobby, and it says you're spectating this event. All right, so they're just using the wrong email address, right? I've signed in using the email address test@chess.com.au, but that's not the same email address as the person who's registered for the tournament. All right, so that's what I'm seeing. And as the arbiter, you can say, okay, you can be Lily, and you have to know that they're actually the right person. So there's the responsibility, because when you give somebody a token, you're giving them permanent access to that player's name. Right? It's not like a one-time thing where they just get access for this tournament. You're saying, like, I know who you are, and I, as the arbiter, am verifying that you are who you say you are, and that's the same as the person who's actually entered into the tournament. You've just used the wrong account. So I'm going to say, okay, for Lily, I'm going to make a token. It gives me the one-time PIN. As the player, I can say, great, I'll enter that token, and you can provide that token in a private chat so that nobody else can do it. That's a security thing. You can say, okay, 1876 is my token, and now that links my test@chess.com account with Lily Cordova. And so now I am signed in as Lily, and I can tick the box and I'm ready to play, and I've got permission. Okay, so that one-time PIN solves the problem of saying, you don't have to ask Lily, what's your email address? How have you, what email address have you signed in with? All that sort of stuff. It's like, great, you signed in. That's all I need to know. I know that you are you. I'm just going to give you a one-time PIN. I'll give you that token, and that lets you play as that person, and it will link that person and that account forever. So if they next time come back and sign in with the same email address, then they'll still be able to play. So the challenge is, of course, that when somebody signs into a website, they have so many different email addresses. Like you could see, I can't remember my password for my test account, so I've got to reset my password. Well, kids have got the same problem, that they are, sometimes they sign in with their personal email address, sometimes with their school email address, sometimes with their mum's address, sometimes with their dad's address, sometimes their parents have got multiple email addresses. So Tornelo just lets all of those email addresses link up with that player profile. We only want one player profile. We want one account for that person, one rating, and we just let everybody link up.
David, what's the veracity with which we're supposed to make sure we know them? Because, like, I didn't know any of the kids from Glendale, for instance. So if they just told me that they were that person, I wouldn't have a clue if they were lying or what.
Just reasonable common sense. Like if you're in a school class and someone says my name is such and such, you're probably going to believe them, right? Because
sure. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't need more than that.
Yep. So you're not giving away any private information. It provides a link and lets that person control that player, but they still won't get access to any private information. So like if there's an email address or a phone number or a date of birth or anything like that, that doesn't give them access to control all of that information. It will. So it's not a security risk or from a privacy perspective to give them a link. It's just, if you gave the wrong person the link, they'd be able to enter Lily into some, I've just given that person that email address access to Lily Cordova forever. So, they can then go and enter her into other tournaments and maybe, be dodgy with her rating or something. Like there's not much harm that can be done. So it's not a very high bar to pass. It's just like, yep, you genuinely believe that the person who you're talking to is that name. You're going to let them play as that name. And for school classes, it should be like pretty easy because like there's just not that many. Not that many players in the tournament. It's not many problems can happen. Okay, so we're back now as an arbiter. We've got a bunch of players who have signed in. You refresh the page so that you can see that they're all updated. But the lobby page will just automatically update itself. So if we tick some other players off, it'll update itself. If you move players between divisions, it will update itself. So I move players between divisions. He's vanished from that. You know, the players are seeing the same thing. So as a player, this was as Lily, you know, all of these things are the same. So we're kind of ready to go. So everyone's signed in, doing whatever we want to do. We start the tournament. I'll just withdraw the players. So what I've done is I've just withdrawn that player who hadn't signed himself up. So this gives you the pairings for that round. If a player has a buy, it will show up on their tournament lobby. You haven't been paired for this round. So that's cool. We know we're not paired up for that round. If you have been paired for the round, then if we join as a player and let's say be Oliver, it will tell us that we've got a game and a play now button. Okay, so yeah, then the players can click the play now button and they start their game. When the player clicks the button, that puts them into their game, and you'll see on your pairings program the green light. That green icon means that they're connected, and this player is not yet connected to the game. Okay, so you can say, hey, Oliver, I can see you're connected, that's great, but what about you, Oliver? You're not connected. And then you could try and help that person actually click the play now button and open their game up. You as an arbiter, be aware that if you can click on any of these little black arrows, and when you click on the black arrow, it opens up a window, and that is you actually in the game. So you can see that this green light has gone on now. You are playing as if you were Oliver. If I close that window, it disconnects that player. All right, so if you wanted to watch a game and you click on that, be aware that the opponent will think that both players are there now, even though maybe the player's not actually there because you're impersonating that person. You can even make a move for a player if you need to. All right, so if you want to make a move for a player, you click on the black arrow and you're like, oh, Oliver, you know, I know you're stuck in this situation. Look, here's a good move. And you just make a move, and then the game can continue. So the opponent can play the moves and off you go. So the players have got, you know, either they make a move or they've got some buttons. They can offer a draw, which can be accepted, or just make a move to ignore it. They could resign. Are you sure you want to do that? No. Or they can call the arbiter. So let's just get out of that one. If they call the arbiter, that's why you need to be in the tournament lobby, because you'll only see an arbiter call from the tournament lobby. So we've got our player playing their game here. We've got the arbiter as the tournament lobby here, which is not loading because probably Toby's now doing the fix that he said he was going to do. And we've got the pairings program there. So the player clicks call the arbiter, and you've got an arbiter call here. As the arbiter, you can click on that. It will take you to the game. And you can say, well, what's going on? You can have a chat to the players, and you can say, great, I've resolved your problem. I've ended that call. And you can close. You can go back to the tournament lobby from there. I don't know if you can hear my audio on my computer audio. I don't know if I've got that shared, but when a player clicks the call arbiter button, it makes a bell sound, a dinging noise. So we've got some sounds in Tornelo now. So when you make a move, there's a sound when you call the arbiter hears a sound. So if you've got the lobby open, you will hear a bing, and you know that somebody's called the arbiter, and you can do something about it. All right, any questions on that? Okay. Results. When a game finishes, the result will push through automatically to the tournament lobby. It can take up to 30 to 60 seconds for that result to automatically come through into the tournament lobby, just depending on how the game server is running. The results end up in the lobby, but they don't end up in the pairings program unless you refresh the page. So when you reload the page, the results will come through into the pairings program. Like, see, there you go, that's just popped through now. So that was probably one of the longer ones. We refresh the page, The results are in here now. All right. You can manually enter results as well. So even though that game finished like that, you can select a win and a draw. If you wanted to give points to both sides, you can just manually put results in the same way you always have, and yeah, gets it up ready for the next round. When you pair the next round, again, I don't know if you can hear my audio, but because I'm connected into the lobby as a player, it makes a noise to say round 2 is ready, and you're like, oh, okay, what's going on? So this player's got a bye. If I go back to Lily, it says she's got a game. She can click play now. There's round 2, Lily against David. There's the play now button. Off you go. Players from the tournament lobby can scroll between rounds or standings, whatever they want to do. They can view games that have finished. There you go. That's the game that's finished. We'll load that. So everything's very slow at the moment. I'm just not going to wait for that to load. They can do that, or they can watch games that are in progress. And so the difference between view and watch: view is a finished game, watch is a live game in progress. All right. You can edit pairings. Obviously, if you want to edit pairings, you can just say, actually, it shouldn't be Lily against David. It should be Lily against Oliver. And I'll put those players in there. If you just change the pairing, the game itself still shows the live game, still shows the original players' names. So there's a bit of a, like if we go to the play button, it will show Lily against David instead of Lily against Oliver. So maybe we fix that. Oh, cool. It used to show the same players, Lily against David, but maybe we fix that bug. Great. If it shows the wrong people, you can just also delete the pairing, because when you delete the pairing, it deletes the actual live game and then re-add the players. And by adding the players again, it will create the new live game and give you a new game with reset names. All right, what other questions do people have? I mean, that's pretty much it. At the end of a tournament, you can download PGN files and stuff like that and view games if you wanted to, but none of that's probably all that relevant for class tournaments.
So you mentioned earlier that you were going to show us like a way to give people multiple games in a round. What I've currently been doing is, like, if they're playing multiple games, I just sort of delete their pairing and, repair them if I've got a few kids in the class that are playing games. But of course, if I do that, then I can't save the results from the previous game unless I then add it in later.
Yeah, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. Is just delete the game. They go, oh, you've played that game, but I'm going to delete it, and then re-add them. The other way of doing it would be to add another round. So you could pair round 3, pair up the players that you wanted as practice matches, and then they're just practice matches. And so at the end, you just delete that whole round.
Yeah, that's what I've done, David. But I've done a manual pair.
Yeah, okay. So you can do manual pairing, and then you can allocate whoever you want to play against whoever they want. They can play their games, and then you just delete that once it's done.
Yeah. The other thing I've done is I've had to sometimes add extra rounds if I've had a few rounds where I've I've gone and edited the tournament to actually add extra rounds in some cases if I've
Oh yeah, so you can go to your tournament settings and add 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds, because it will only let you pair the number of rounds that you've got scheduled. So then, and the same thing if you want to finish a tournament, if you only end up playing 6 instead of 8, because coronavirus lockdowns mean that we can't play as many weeks in the school, you need to change the planned number of rounds so that the tournament can finish. So yeah, that settings here. I know it says time control, but that time control doesn't actually, that's just a placeholder at the moment. That won't actually change the time control for the tournament. But yeah, the planned number of rounds will do that. Yeah, so what other problems do you get?
Is there going to be an option for arbiters to watch multiple games at once?
Yeah, so at the moment, watching multiple games is just about
Opening them differently. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
just
I did yesterday.
opening multiple tabs and being able to scroll between them. But we do have a plan to tile things automatically on the board because a lot of people want to watch lots of games at the same time.
Cool.
So yeah, we will end up on that as well.
Oh, David, what about setting draws? Can an arbiter set a draw in a game yet?
Can you set a draw?
Yeah.
So like adjudicate the result. So you can always adjudicate the result by clicking the result, but the actual game itself.
Yeah, if players are still in a game, can you just like stop the game as a draw yet?
No, so when
Yes.
when you go there as an arbiter, you'll be watching the game. If you go in through the pairings program, you can kind of click on both of them and open up two windows and click, you know, if the game's in progress, you can click offer draw, accept draw.
Yep.
And do, you know, kind of offer the draw and accept the draw, but you're kind of acting as two players.
Yeah, for those stubborn players that just continue playing after you've explained that, guys, you can stop playing king versus king. It's a draw already, you know, and they'll just keep playing and playing and playing.
Yeah, so at the moment there isn't a button to let you do that. But yeah, that's one of the features we'll have is if a player calls the arbiter, so they'll call the arbiter. You'll hear as an arbiter, it tells you, oh, look, go and watch that game. You'll be there. You can end the arbiter, and there'll be a button there which is just declare a draw, and you can declare the game a draw. But it doesn't exist yet. Yeah, we've been trying to solve. There's a bunch of privacy and security things.
Does it act as like a notification to take you to that game, or does it act like a phone call and a separate thing?
No, it's just a notification. So when the player clicks arbiter, call the arbiter, it shows up in the notification in your tournament lobby. It won't show up in your pairings program, which is why you need to have the tournament lobby open as well. It does make a noise in the tournament lobby, so it goes bling, and you're like, oh yeah, I can hear. Then you click on that, you've got a list of all the people, and it's just a shortcut to get to their game. So, you know, if we saw the process, I'm impersonating the player here because clicking on that black arrow impersonates the player. It's as if I'm that player. Oh man, what's going on? I'll click call the arbiter. It'll make a noise. It'll show up in this list. As the arbiter, I can click on it. That takes me to that game. And then, so call the arbiter. I don't know if you hear the bing. There's the arbiter call. I now go to that game. But Tornelo is still not communicating with the players. So you might be looking at that game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like if they're not in the Zoom room or they're not talking to you in the Zoom room, there's actually no way of kind of communicating with them. So, yeah, you need to, you still need to talk to them and say, hey, Lily, what's going on? Like, why did you ask that question? What's the question you've got? And then you need to communicate with them in Zoom. And then remember just to end the arbiter call as well. So then it gives them the ability to call the arbiter again a second time if they want to. Of course, they can just go, oh yeah, I've worked it out myself, and they can cancel it if they need to, which happens most of the time. It's like kids put their hand up, and then by the time you get there, they're like, oh no, that's okay. All right. What other common problems or challenges or?
Hi, David. This isn't so much about the actual Tornelo interface, but rather the link between the KU zone and the Tornelo.
Mm-hmm.
Trent and I were taking a class this week, and our classes were switched around. So usually I would take the class that Trent took.
Okay.
And as a result, and I'm not sure whether this is a common problem, we were just going to, ask for support on this another time, but I thought I'd ask now if we could fix this ourselves. It might be a common issue whenever you click the link to link you to Tornelo, instead of going to Tornelo, it just refreshes the page on the KU zone. Is that a common issue
as well?
Okay, so clicking the link from KU zone isn't taking you onto Tornelo.
Correct. It's just refreshing the KU Zone page.
Yep. Okay, and so at the moment you have to kind of copy the slug and paste it into Tornelo to actually get to the tournament page.
Well, luckily for that class, we didn't feel like they were even ready to play games, so we just taught for the entire time. But so we didn't actually do it. But yeah, is there an easy fix to that straight away?
Let me just see. I mean, there could be something that that's broken on KU Zone. That's quite possible because we have made a lot of changes to Tornelo in the last week or two.
Sorry, David. I had the same issue, and it was because the Tornelo slug wasn't the right one for the tournament I was supposed to be in. So it might be that's the issue.
That would make sense considering that Trent and I's classes were switched. Perhaps we had each other's tournaments that we were supposed to go into.
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
we didn't have access to each other's tournaments.
No, it's right. So if you've got problems like that, you can just ping the admin girls. So if you go to Kids Unlimited, you can there's a chat box that pops up in the bottom corner. So there's this little chat with us. So you can chat on the website. You can chat in Zoom to admin. If you're in a Zoom window, you can just type into the KU coaches group that you've got a problem, and the girls can solve that instantly. So we can just go, oh yeah, I can see we've just screwed up the admin link, the link, because there's a bit of a manual process in all of that, and so you can just fix that up. We can also just go, oh, this is your tournament. We're gonna click roles. We're gonna add you to that particular tournament, and then you'll be able to find the tournament from your My Events page. So there's a bunch of ways that there's a bunch of ways that we can solve that kind of on the spot for you. So just reach out if that happens, and just ping, admin on either through Zoom chat, through the chat on the website, on the phone, like whatever's the easiest way for you to do it, and it can be solved pretty much straight away.
All right, thanks, David.
Okay. All right, any other kind of questions? Let's have a look at what's going on. No one else has had any questions or problems? Okay. Yeah, so I mean, you should see on your tournament, on your role page, Tornelo tournament link. If you click on that and it doesn't work, then you can, that one's a brand new tournament. It's creating something, so that one may not work. You can just ask somebody, hey, it's not working, and we'll get it linked up properly.
It worked fine last night, so maybe it's been fixed up, or I don't know if you guys had the same tournament but different divisions, and maybe you just didn't realize you could click into your own division.
Oh, if it wasn't shown, like, yeah, there's different divisions, but it may be that if it's just refreshing, it's not actually taking you anywhere. Like that one that I clicked on from here, it opens up a tournament like this, and you can open the pairings program, and you've got different divisions there. Yeah. But yeah, if it wasn't refreshing, it could just be that the tournament just didn't exist. So the link may have been broken. That's hiding behind that button. So yeah, maybe we just had to fix that. And that's just a manual fix on our side. But yeah, you can see here, this is what you should see, and you're just going into the pairings program and doing what you need to do. All right. Any other things that crop up that people want to talk about? Okay. Well, yeah, we're always able to help with problems sort of right on the spot. So, just probably the easiest one is, you'll be on Zoom anyway. Just go into your Zoom chat, go to the KU coaches group and send a message through there. And then there's a bunch of people who are there who can jump online and help you out with that as live as we go. Okay, sorry for the delay at the start. We'll chat again. We'll try and go back to our Thursday morning catch-ups once school goes back next week. We're officially on school holidays still today, but next week hopefully schools will be back and we'll have some information to update you with, and we'll put that on the timetables. And again, every Thursday morning we'll have our catch-ups during the term. Just keep you updated with what's going on. So thanks everyone. We shall see you next week. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.